Presenting in the blue corner with 63 international caps, 2 European Champions Cup medals for a combined game time of only 3 minutes, and a legendary hat trick versus India, Scotland's most red-carded second row forward of all time, the self-proclaimed legend, Jim Hamilton. And in the red corner, England's answer to Tom Brady, with a career spanning over 400 games and 4,000 points, making him the second highest point scorer in Premiership history. He's rescued more clubs from relegation than he has original hair follicles. The heaviest fly half to ever play the game, the Prince of Pies, Andy Good. And ably hosted by the most arrogant Kiwi in rugby, subsisting on a diet of premium cat food, the weirdest fish of them all, Andy Rowe. It's time for the undisputed, most listened to rugby podcast on the planet, coming to you on Spotify. Welcome to the Rugby Pod.
Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Pod. I'm Andy Rowe. Big Jim and Goodey are with me as usual, but you probably noticed a new intro. What do you think, lads? The one and only Bruce Buffer.
Mate, how good's that? How good is that? We are massive now. We're Spotify. We are Spotify, Jim.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. It's almost too good to be true. No word of a lie. Beck, we've made it!
Well, it is part of a bigger announcement, which is that we are joining the Spotify family. They started off with the Joe Rogan podcast. Then they did Harry and Meghan, didn't they? And then Obama and Bruce Springsteen. And then the obvious addition, the Rugby Pod.
Mate, you want the biggest and the best. You come after us and you get us.
You want the biggest in the bush. You want the biggest in the bush, you'll come to us.
And fair play, Spotify have done it. They've come for the biggest in the bush. Jim's bush, I'm the biggest, for the wrong reasons. But yeah, mate, we're delighted, aren't we? To sign with Spotify. I mean, imagine rocking into Spotify's studios in London.
Kings.
We're here.
Kings.
We are here. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, delighted. And it's taken 4.5 years of absolute graft, hasn't it, Jim?
Andrew, it has been a hard slog. Is it 4.5 years? It felt like yesterday that we were walking down Oxford Street towards each other, a match made in heaven. But we should give a big shout out to all the fans because, hey, it genuinely sounds like we've made it because I'm about to thank all the fans. But if it wasn't for all the fans and all the guests and, you know, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, which is seamless, is it bollocks? I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm truly humbled. I'm a podcast listener, right? I'm a Joe Rogan. I'm a Rich Roll. I'm a
Andy
Brendan Schwab. That's on my to-bin list to listen
to-do
to.
list.
So I'm a big podcast listener. I listen to loads, and to get the coveted, that's what a word, look at me, I'm so Spotify, get the coveted option to live on Spotify and get Bruce Buffer say my name with such power and passion. I feel regal. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's amazing. And big thanks also to all the people that have sponsored us along the way as well. James Metcalf, who is at Diageo, formerly Guinness as well. You know, there's a lot of people that have put a lot of time and effort into us. People that don't get the pats on the back they deserve. Tim, our producer. I mean, he just sits behind the camera because he's absolutely hanging, but puts a lot of graft in. The listeners, the thousands of you, the millions of you, Big Jim, our better halves. The shit that they have to put up with as well when we talk.
Hang on. I've got 4 kids in there. I've got to deal with them.
So yeah, we're delighted. Exclusively signing with Spotify. Massive thanks to all the listeners, to everyone, to all the people we've told stories about. Thank you and you're welcome.
They're all true.
What it means is that we will be moving over to the Spotify platform officially and exclusively in July. So if you're not already on there, just head over and get involved and make sure you follow us. It is completely free. And we're looking forward to growing the pod with them over the coming seasons as well. How's your week been, boys?
Long and winding road that leads to London. I drove down the road for 6 lines on ITV of the weekend matches, and it was worth it. I'll be honest. I had a long trip down on Saturday. The motorway was closed, so I took a stop, detour, a respite in St Albans, and then headed to the mighty Stratford Centre, BT, ITV studios. Producer Tim was there. It was great to see some people to talk about the rugby from the weekend, and came back up yesterday. And I felt like, because I've obviously not done it in a long time, I had jet. Can you get jet lag driving or not?
It's called tiredness, Jim.
Jet lag is, okay.
Yeah, jet lag's when you go through different time zones. I don't think the time zone between London and Edinburgh is different. I mean,
I think
different rules because you're Scottish. When you go past that wall, mate, you're Scottish and get out of our country. But jet lag is all to do with time zones.
I don't think it's to do with jets, though. I think jetted or jeeted or something like that. I'm going to dig deep. And now we're with Spotify, I'll speak to the Spotify producers and just see if they can dig out what jet lag actually means.
Yeah. Busy weekend for you, AJ. Do you enjoy these? How long do they take? 6.5, 7, 8 hours?
The drives?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a long old drive down. Big shout out to Thrifty Flexi Feet. I mean, I don't want to talk about, and give away what car I was in, but it does start with a B&M. It's got a W in it as well, and it's very comfortable to drive down. It is, and it was tough because it was Mother's Day on Sunday, and not that I forgot, but I remembered on Saturday. I remembered on Saturday. So big shout out to all the mums, past and present as well. And look, it's just all about giving and love. It's not about us on Spotify, absolute legends. It's about everyone else. Big shout out to all the mums out there and the dads who do the mums' jobs.
Just giving shout outs everywhere because we're on Spotify. But mate, it's interesting. Like you talk about it's big jobs and all that stuff. You've left the whole family on Mother's Day, so the most important day to treat the missus and appreciate her as a mum. You've just left her with the kids and gone to work, haven't you?
Roxanne has dropped some flowers off. Roxanne's florists, they're open apparently in Edinburgh, so they dropped some flowers off on Sunday, although they refused to put them on the doorstep. So Beck had to go pick them up on Monday.
Oh no!
What a shit bloke!
You're in the doghouse. You're in the doghouse with a bad back from 8 hours of driving to London.
I've come back and I haven't got my heart to tell her how tired I am. But look, hey, Andrew, this is Hollywood, this is showbiz, this is Spotify. This is the kind of things you got to do now when you're at the top.
I left the house for the 3rd time in 6 weeks today.
3rd time?
Yeah, well, twice I've gone to see the surgeon in London, and that's it. And because I'm on crutches still, I've got another 4 weeks on crutches, my God. Anyway, left the house. I went to look at a school today, and the headmaster, he's a listener of the pod. Of course he is, loves it. And I said to him, mate, you love the pod. I want to send my kids to school here. Let's talk discounts. And he's like, no, the pod's that big now. You've got to pay double, son. I was like, well, I have because I've got twins. But yeah, so left. It's quite exciting to leave the house today and see the real world.
You don't need discounts, Andrew. You don't need discounts. We're Spotify. We've made it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You should be contributing to the school. You should be contributing to the media and the production arm to the school that the twins are going to go to. You need to give back. You can do that now.
Well, I'll be giving by sending the twins there if that's where we decide to send them. So yeah, that's as much as excitement as I've seen going to see a school today and look at where my twins could go for the next few years. I mean, how's your back and how sweaty do you get driving 8 hours non-stop from Edinburgh to London?
Well, believe it or not, the function of the Flexi Feet Thrifty starts with a B, it's got an M and a W, has got not just hot seats, but it's got cold seats as well. And
lovely.
You wonder why, living in Scotland, you'd have cold seats. Well, tell 8 hours to tell the back, tell the sweat that. That is when the button gets pressed. And let's hope there's some absorption in them seats. Well, there must be because there's nothing there when I got up. But interestingly, here's an interesting thing. The culture part of me, and I'm a bit of a traveller. We're on Spotify now, so more worldly. I got a detour. So the M25 was closed, even though everyone's got to stay at home. There were so many cars, and I've taken a detour through Wembley, and I've ended up in Tottenham, right? So I'm thinking Tottenham Hotspurs, Jose Mourinho, Paul Gascoigne, like that's my association with Tottenham. Talk about culture. There was rabbis everywhere from the Jewish community. Like I'm not joking, as in everywhere, like absolutely everywhere. And I was reminiscing. I don't know if I've told this story before, but I didn't feel at all culture shocked, although you could well have been, like, because it didn't feel like I was in London or the UK. It was like there was rabbis everywhere, and it was a really surreal moment for me. But I was thinking to myself, I don't know if you guys know, I have been to Jerusalem before. Have I told you that before?
No, you haven't.
No, I've been to Jerusalem. So let's just peel back a little bit, and don't know whether Spotify will let us keep saying that, but we'll peel back. So me and Beck, when I got my first big contract at Leicester, which was 15 grand a year, we went on holiday. Egypt.
Was it teletext holidays?
It could have been teletext. It could have been like book it down Thompson's. Yeah, it was Thompson's. Yeah, because we flew there on the plane. I remember my knees were around by my head. And we've gone to the big one. We've gone to Egypt, the place to go, where there, as we know, there's sharks in the waters, but the sea's beautiful, and the likelihood of you getting food poisoning in Egypt is highly likely. But I was happy to go because it was hot. So we've ended up in Egypt, and because the Hamiltons have turned up, I bet we're in Hamilton at that point. We've turned up to Egypt, and it's the coldest time. There's a sandstorm, the coldest time they've had in 60 years. And because I'm cultured and multilingual, it's like, well, let's look at some excursions of what we can do, right? So we've got on a bus from Egypt to Cairo, and then we've gone across the border to Israel, right? Because we're cultured. Imagine us Kovskins going across to Jerusalem, going into Israel. So I remember we went through the different borders, and there was like 3 checkpoints to get over to Israel. It was about 10 meters away. I could see it. I was like, why is there 3 borders? You've just seen that I've gone through a checkpoint. Beck got strip searched. No word of a lie on the way through. It was really, really weird. Anyway, we've got into Israel, got the bus into the centre of town, like we're talking about Cov, centre of town, ended up in Jerusalem. Next thing, I'm in the Wailing Wall taking pictures. You're not allowed to take pictures of the Wailing Wall. Went to Bethlehem or wherever that place was. Mate, one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had. So I'm driving around, reminiscing, driving around Tottenham. There's Jewish people everywhere, thinking, I am that cultured, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're comparing North London, Tottenham, an area that is heavily populated with Jewish people, to Jerusalem, James. You know, there is a synergy there. But
anyway,
so two completely different countries.
Yeah, two completely different countries. But what I'm saying is I felt cultured, and I just wanted to share that little story with you because we haven't been on holiday for a while, and I'm back. I'm back safe, and I'm better for it. And one thing I did think as well, Andrew, because you are looking well now, genuinely, you're looking good. I think I've
7.5 kilos down now, thanks to tweak meals.
Fair play. Fair play to you. I reckon I've aged 10 years in the last year. I look horrendous.
Really?
Hey, no, you don't, mate. No, you don't. Hey.
Well, I did wonder. I mean, like last week you asked about what your best body parts are and things like that. I've noticed on Twitter this week you're putting up like reports of when you scored a hat-trick against India back in the day. So you need some feel-good around you. But, mate, you don't look 10 years older than you did a year ago. Your hairdo might, because you shaved it off and you put the magic dust on. Sun's is coming good, but I think you look great, Jim. You're doing well on TV. You're doing well on TV as well.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
Mate, do you need some compliments? Do you need some compliments?
We've signed with Spotify. I don't need any more.
Well, Manscaped are with us again this week. They are the best in below the waist grooming and trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, having created the best bull hair trimmer in human existence, the Lawnmower 3.0. This month, they have a brand new peak hygiene plan where every 3 months you get replacement blades delivered directly to your door, hassle-free. You can also build a combo and mix and match some of your favorite Manscaped products. This month, it comes with a free gift, the foot duster, which everyone needs in their life, don't they, Jim? It might make you feel a little bit younger.
Has it got a long arm on it? Is it a foot duster that has a long arm? So I haven't touched my feet. I've not touched my feet in 12 years.
Mate, your feet are the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life. When you sent me that picture this week, you sent me that picture the other week of your toenail that's about, I'm going to say it's an inch thick on top. It's absolute, and it's bright yellow, absolutely hanging.
That's called a mauler's goo, that is. So that has been stood on many a time by many a man.
You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code rugbypod at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using the code rugbypod. You'll be a modern man and you'll be supporting the pod as well. Well, let's get into rugby now then. Goodey, England back.
Mate, we're the best team in the world again, aren't we? We are the best team in the world. Let me just say, that first half of rugby and the second half, we always knew that players were going to fall off a cliff a little bit in terms of the intensity. But my God, that first half of rugby, England going hammer and tongs against France. France bought their absolute A game. It was the best game or 40 minutes of rugby I've seen probably ever. But you're going back to intensity levels. Do you remember New Zealand, South Africa in the World Cup and how brutal that was and how that was an amazing gladiatorial battle? New Zealand against England in the semi-final of the World Cup was unbelievable in terms of the intensity. But my God, what a game that was, from skill level, finesse, fitness, brutality. It had absolutely everything. And hey, all I'm saying is a blade of grass helped us become the best team in the world again. So we beat the French team, who are also known as the best team in the world at the minute, and that makes us world champions.
Before we go through some of the key points of the game, and they did go hammer and thong, that call from Joy Neville, and look, let bygones be bygones. You know, not that we don't like officials, but with Spotify, I've got all these new sayings. Let bygones be bygones. Joy Neville, fair play to her, has made a massive decision there. Yeah, she's effectively not overruled Andrew Brace, but
she has. She's
yeah. Let's say she has then. She has,
yeah. She has, because he said he's got it held up to overturn the referee Andrew Brace's decision, where he said he's got on-field decision, no try, held up. You have to see clear and obvious. You have to see it's clear and obvious in the review, which some people say you couldn't see, but it felt like it was a try, 100%. You know, it felt like Mara Itoje scored that try, but the pictures have to be clear and obvious. She felt she saw clear and obvious grounding. I think it was as well. Other people said it wasn't, but massive call. Massive
fair
call.
Play to her.
And
fair play.
Yeah. And if she was 100% confident in that decision, it's exactly the right thing to do, and it was a brilliant call from her. And England fans, you go back a couple of weeks, the Wales game, you know, when things went against us with the TMO, swings and roundabouts, isn't it? So imagine if, you only take the try that Scotland scored. Sorry, you only take the try in the Scotland-Ireland game that Ireland scored when Roman Poit's got his head right underneath. Everyone's saying we can't see it on the TMO review. There's no angle where you can see it, so you shouldn't have given it a try. But Roman Poit's put his head right in there, and he's trying to have a right sniff of someone's gooch, I think, as well, when he's down there. But
how good was his positioning, though?
Mate,
arguably, you could say he won't support his own body weight, but my goodness me, fair play. The King Prawn was out.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, isn't it? You know, some go for you, some go against you. That one definitely, Joy Neville has made a strong decision that she felt was the right one, and it helped England win the game, and rightly so.
Jim, Marrow.
Mate, what are you doing, Jim? Writing Marrow off?
Who wrote him off?
Are you clueless or what? Like you said, he's a penalty machine. He's not going to be Lions captain now because we've seen what he's like under pressure. Mate, you were horrific to it, poor bloke.
All right, well, I changed my mind. He's not the Lions captain off the back of that. What do I know? He was always going to have a big performance. Him and Owen, I think, they're two of the players that were probably under a little bit of pressure who were starting. And there was a lot of talk about last week.
Yeah, for different reasons, though, because Marrow has played, bar the penalties, take some of the penalties out against him. He's played unbelievably well, hasn't he?
Oh, he's been one of the players of the tournament. I called it, didn't I? Lions captain. But Marrow's, he's a player that plays on the edge. Like the penalties that we saw against Wales, there were 50-50s. There wasn't a lot in them apart from a couple. But for me, to score the try, and it's not an easy finish. Hamish Watson scored a good one for Scotland. That wasn't an easy finish. But for me, it was the kickoff after. Yeah, you look at when Scotland scored their try and they couldn't deal with the kickoff. Ali Price got charged down by Ryan Baird. We'll obviously talk about that was a big moment in the game. Mara Itoje, 76 minutes, 77 minutes into the game, just scored a try. I mean, the amount of work he gets through, and to take that kickoff the way that he did, which the lads were talking about it on comms either this week or last week. David Plattman was talking about it. It's one of the hardest skills in rugby is taking them kickoffs, and they've pinpointed it just in front of him. And he's got up like a salmon. And I've been there. The amount that have come off my head, Goodey, as you know, that one came straight off my forehead at Twickenham, and everyone was laughing.
Yeah,
it was a difficult skill. Yeah, but that's what I mean. That shows how good he is. We know that anyway. But just with what Goodey said, what a phenomenal game. France, having had 3 or 4 weeks off or whatever it's been since their last game, and they've been through COVID and all these things, and the way that they played, they are phenomenal. I know England beat them. It just shows what England are about, though, doesn't it? They're behind for the majority of the game. You're going into the last 5 minutes of the game, you're behind, you're chasing the game. France, last 20 minutes, notoriously aren't that great. There was a few errors creeping into their performance. Talking about errors, and this has got nothing to do with errors for him. Oh my, Cyril Bay.
Unbelievable, right?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Looks like he's just rocked in from the pub, man from Miona. What a baller is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
My goodness me, he's a quality player. But so fair play to England. Credit where it's due. Some big calls. Obviously, Max Malin's going to 50. Thought he did okay.
I thought he played well. He looked dangerous. He looked confident and dangerous. Took the high ball well. Loads of boys. Billy was massive for England, wasn't he? Farrell played exceptionally well. Ford played well at 10. Ducked out of a few tackles, but he's
Watson.
The attacker check. Watson on his 50th was ridiculous. Obviously, we spoke about Marrow. Just everyone brought their intensity. Even Johnny May chasing after it like the chicken when the game was up. It was a top tier performance from England. There was a crucial moment in the second half. I think England were 20 points to 13 down, and France were on the attack. And it goes two ways, and it shows the resilience of this England team. They have been under pressure. They were under pressure for a lot of that game. Had France scored, they got up to their 22, and then we won a penalty. And my God, talking about penalties, Tom Curry, although some of them were borderline, there was the one just before half-time when there was no clear release, I didn't think, after France had made the break. But he won the penalty, so you take the risk. And where Marrow was getting penalised against Wales, things were going for England against France. But Tom Curry was ridiculously good as well.
Carrying.
Mate, both sides of the ball. He's not just an absolute nose at every break. He's a nose, right? Full stop. And I mean that as a massive compliment. He is 150% every collision, whether he's defending, whether he's attacking. He flies onto the ball. He's got good hands. He's powerful. Just ridiculous. I think he got one of the turnovers when England were defending around their own 22 and they were 20 points to 13 down. France score then, it's game over. And England just have that, Eddie Jones, England haven't become a bad side overnight because they've lost a few games. The way they were performing wasn't great. The way they were attacking over the last year hasn't been great. But finally, that first half, they basically thought, fuck it, we're not listening to Eddie Jones anymore. We are just throwing it around absolutely everywhere and playing at an intensity that first half, I mean, I was out of breath watching it. I'd have lasted a minute and a half defending or attacking or anything. My lungs would have just packed in. And Jim, you'd have been about a minute.
20
minutes.
I reckon I'll last 20.
The intensity levels were just redonkulous. And France bought everything. We handled Vakatawa pretty well. But that did open up other opportunities for other players around him. Hell of a game. It got everyone excited about watching a rugby game again. Where we have seen some dour fixtures. It's been tough because there's no fans. And so that intensity hasn't necessarily been there in some of the games, but a wonderful performance by England. And, the only thing you ask is where was it in rounds 1, 2 and 3? Okay, round 2, we played Italy at home. Still wasn't anywhere near that level, but it was under pressure. That these England boys have got reserves that they can go and find, deep within themselves to play at that top level. But you want to see it every week. And, that's what the best teams in the world do.
Andrew, we can talk about fly halves on another team, and I don't want to be horrible to Ireland. But France, I actually think France could be the favourites going into the World Cup off the back of that performance against England. And you think a couple more years to the World Cup with that younger squad. Jalibert, the old Jalibert, or Untermack at 10. A lot of people think, this is what I've read, I've been reading the French newspapers, I might have translated them wrong, that Jalibert is better than Untermack. That's not me saying that. What do you think?
On current form, I mean, Untermack hasn't played for a while. He's been injured. He came back.
Yeah.
Jalibert can play fullback as well. He plays there for Bordeaux at times. But he was phenomenal. It's kind of, you're watching it and everyone thinks that Untermack, because part of it is because of his name, Part of it is because he's a wonderful player who.
What a name, though. You've got Jim Hamilton and you've got Roman Intermac. I mean, it's embarrassing.
But he's been part of this renaissance of French rugby and this new age of the youngsters coming through, and he's been the 10, the go-to man. And so I think everyone was expecting him to come on just after half time and win the game for France or whatever. But Jalibert was playing that well, and he's got a set of skills on him at the line that are phenomenal. And you can see now it's a complete change of emphasis from France, because we've always known that France have got the absolutely sublime and the ridiculous in them. The sublime, the unbelievable attacking intent, offloading game, can jouer from anywhere. And every French team's always had that. That's in their DNA. But they've also had the ridiculous, the other side of it, where Van Mahina does something stupid. You go back to the past, to George North or whatever it was a couple of years ago, in 40-mile-an-hour rains. It's just ridiculous. Or when he gets sent off at the World Cup. They've always had, there's players like that have got ridiculousness in them. But that's gone. And while it will still sit there somewhere because they're French, it's just seems to have eradicated. And the sublime's still there, but it's now married with an absolute ability to be consistent at the top level. Andrew, their work off the ball, and again, without fanboying Sean Edwards, that's down to him. So that work off the ball. So if there is a line break, or if there's a ball in the air and it bobs on the floor, I think we've seen one instance with Teddy Thomas, where he threw the pigeons out the tray during the Autumn Nations Cup, and he was walking around. Look at Cyril Byrne. I keep talking about him, the baller. His work off the ball. The players work off the ball. Their ability to get off the line, their ability in defence, and the integrity that they've got, and the passion and the energy. That's down to Sean Edwards. And we've always said that they're a sleeping giant, France. Yeah. And you marry them all up with the stuff that you've spoken about. I'm picking them for the World Cup.
Yeah. Have you guys been enjoying your packed coffee?
Oh, mate, a cafetiere full of that is just delicious, isn't it?
Yes, Andrew, I love coffee. I'll be honest with you. And it popped through the letterbox. What more do you want? Coffee through the letterbox.
Well, Pack Coffee does deliver flexible coffee plans to your door. They only source the best coffee, and they pay coffee farmers above the fair trade baseline. You can get your coffee whenever or wherever you want, and you can pause, cancel, or change your plan anytime. There are no hidden posted charges. And if you order before 1 p.m. Monday to Friday, your order will be with you the very next day. It's also, as you said, Jim, it's letterbox friendly, so you don't need to be at home waiting for your coffee. We've got a discount code to get your first bag from just £1.95. Just head to packcoffee.com, that's PACT coffee.com, and enter the code RUGBY at the checkout. The code is valid when you create a packed coffee plan, and it's for new customers only. So go and check them out. Scotland Island, Jim.
Oh, Jim.
Same old story, isn't it?
Jim, the saying sometimes goes all fart, no poo. I'm just going to leave it to you, though.
Talking of farts, I did a fart on the show last week, apparently.
I heard that. I don't know. Was that you?
Yeah, must have been me. I didn't realise, but I saw it back on YouTube, and I lifted up the left leg because I don't know why you lift up a left leg like a dog, but just let it out, and that's ultimately.
Well, you've got a great poker face, because I looked at you and I was wondering if you were going to smirk or smile, and nothing.
I'm Spotify, man. I'm professional. I don't flinch. But Scotland, talking of professional and talking about getting your leg up, I mean, like Andy Rowe, you hit the nail on the head. Scotland, same old story. When you look at it, I spoke to Stevie Ferris today. We were kind of chatting all things ruggers and golf and a lot else and hair. And he said he couldn't believe going to the game that everyone was back in Scotland to win. The last 9 out of 10 games Scotland have played Ireland. Ireland have won. So you look at it like that, you're thinking, where's the arrogance coming from myself and other people thinking Scotland are going to win? And that arrogance, I suppose, and the expertise come off that England game, right? Really, the way that we played in that match, and we've probably got a little bit carried away, but that is a Scotland of old performance. I thought we were poor. We lost 6 lineouts. You can't win a test match losing 6 lineouts. Discipline was average again. We just looked a little bit off for whatever reason. Finn didn't play that well. Kicked the ball out on the full. And Ireland played a game which everyone knew was coming. The Scotland players would have known that that's how Ireland were going to play. And for Ireland, their big players turned up. They played a really smart game, picking and going, physical. They were kicking the balls up in the air, took their chances when they were on, took the penalties at post early, respected Scotland, and we got back into it. I don't know. I'm frustrated with that performance. I'm not gutted, but I'm frustrated. But a bit of context from a Scotland perspective. Beat England comfortably, brilliant performance. I got 5,000 followers off the back of that. Wales, red card for Xander Fagerson, took the wind out of the sails. Still could have beat Wales.
When you were ahead as well.
Tackle. Yeah, exactly. So around that, and then you're thinking, right, big game against France in Paris. Probably not going to win, but it keeps the momentum going. That game against France gets postponed. Should have been cancelled. Got postponed. So now it's 4 weeks that the Scotland players haven't played together as a team. Finn Russell goes back to Racing, has to play in the fallow weeks. Johnny Gray goes back. Stuart Hogg goes back to Exeter. Chris Harris goes back to play for Gloucester. All of a sudden, as a team, you're going through the tournament. The win against England, all right, the game against Wales you can accept. You think you're going to move forward, and you can't. You're just so disjointed. And then Ireland, on the other hand, they've been together the whole time. They're rested. Big win against Italy. Really simple game plan. And in the end, I don't think the scoreline reflect the game. I think Ireland won that game fairly comfortably, although it wasn't comfortable. It was 27 points to 24. Sexton got the kick towards the end of the match. But fair play to Ireland, and Scotland, we've got a lot to learn, let's be honest.
A couple of bits on that, Jim. So France have played and done exactly the same as Scotland. How did they play?
Exceptionally well.
I'm just picking holes in your argument, but yeah, I get it. And it has been unfortunate for Scotland. And it does show actually that Scotland obviously have a lot of fight in them against the odds when they're behind, but also potentially still Ireland have got a bit of frailty, or a fair bit of frailty within them. 24-10, you think the game's done and dusted, don't you? But Scotland fought back and led by the mullet Hamish Watson to score that try. And then it's a Scotland error again that gives Johnny Sexton the chance to get his spuds out again. And have you got an apology for Johnny Sexton, Jim, kicking the winner?
I apologised about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Outplaying Finn, playing 80 minutes. I mean, just all the things that you've questioned him about. I don't know.
Do you think Sexton is about to kick that penalty? And do you think there's any part of him that thinks of me? I think there is. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you're thinking about me right here, right now. The kick was a bit of a, what do you call it, a shank.
Wobbler. Yeah, wobbler.
A bit of a wobbler.
Yeah.
But for a Lions year as well. A Lions year again. And it's, Gatland's up there. I think it was him. I could tell by his eyes. We've met each other. He didn't like me. Now he does like me. So a Lions year again. And you're looking for players that when it really matters, when the going gets tough, you can deliver. And apart from Hamish Watson,
Hoggy played well, I thought.
Yeah, Hoggy's in, but I'm talking about out with that in terms of the obvious with Hoggy.
Yeah.
Finn, and a big it was a big opportunity for him because you're up against Sexton, you're up against the old dog, you're the young dog, and he just did for whatever. And look, he's played well for Scotland for loads, so I don't want to sit here and speak out of turn. Finn's a world-class player. But we just didn't play well. We lost 6 lineouts, and it wasn't just...
I tweeted Jim, they need you. They need you for the 2-step lob. You go back to 2015 World Cup, they'd have beaten Australia if Jim Hamilton was in there coming off the bench for the last 5 minutes for the 2-step lob, not giving 6 penalties away. And then now, they need you as a coach, Jim. Just get yourself back in the mix.
I'm happy to deliver the 2-step lob for them. I mean, look what Paul O'Connor's doing. He's getting paid about 300-400 grand, and I'm happy to go and do that part-time.
What went wrong? What went wrong with their line-out, Jim?
Not one thing. There was a few different things. Ireland, we just mentioned Paul O'Connell's name. Spoke to him on the phone last week randomly about whiskey, and famous grouse whiskey of all things. And he's a go-at. He's one of the best who've ever done it. And you've got him in the mix. And then you look at Ireland's line out, apart from when they play England, and it'll be interesting to see how they go this weekend because we're struggling against England. But as a line out, they've always been very good. Good driving game, but you've got Paul O'Connell, one of the best who have ever done it. Probably not work. He will be working with their attack, but that comes down to the players being able to feel it on the ground, but working on their defence. So he'll put structures in place that you can have a big influence on line-out defence. And you look at it, it wasn't just one thing. There was a bad throw, timing was off. Ireland did a really good job in marking it up, and you'll probably lose 1 or 2. But I spoke about it before the game. If Scotland were going to win the game, you don't get many opportunities against Ireland. They hold on to the ball so well. You've got to take the opportunities when they come. Finn misses touch on one, it goes straight out. I don't know, he was around the 10-metre line. When he kicked it, went straight out. So that's a missed opportunity. But then again, 6 lineouts. The reason Scotland beat England, in my opinion, was because of the ascendancy and the innovation they showed around the lineout early on against England to get, a Cam Redpath. Sam Johnson didn't get in the game really off strike. So there's a number of things that didn't go well, and the tournament's done now for Scotland. We've got Italy. We've got Italy on a 6-day turnaround. Finn went off with a HIA, didn't come back on, which says to me that he's probably not going to be able to play. Johnny Gray apparently struggling. Scott Cummins broke his hand apparently. So they've got a 6-day turnaround against Italy, and then they've got a 6-day turnaround against France. So is anyone looking at Scotland now, apart from me and the Scotland fans, are they bothered about what Scotland do now? No. And
of course you're bothered, mate. Of course you're
bothered. I'm bothered. I said I'm bothered.
Because someone, and I don't know who they were, said that the Scotland-Italy game, which was meant to be the last game for both these two teams, was going to be the wooden spoon decider. I mean, thank God Italy have got no bonus points. That's all I'm saying, because it could be, or it could have been a wooden spoon decider, but because you're on 6 points in the league, and
because we beat England. Because we beat England,
you're safe. Yeah, but mate, where are you in the league, son?
Well, where we normally are, effectively, apart from when I was playing and we had Dean Ryan as coach and we finished third. But yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but we've got to say it how it is, and that's how it was.
What do you make of CJ Stander announcing his retirement from rugby? He's only 30, isn't he?
Shocked.
Where's that come from?
Out the blue. So when I saw the announcement today being Tuesday, we're recording it a day later because we had some big news, don't know if you know, with Spotify. But when he announced it this morning over social media, that's how we announce our lives now. I was thinking, this is what I initially thought. I thought he's still in contract, right? And he's trying to find a way to get home. So maybe go on the Lions tour, get home and get a contract when he's there. So basically say that he's retiring for family reasons. And then next thing we know, he's playing for the Blue Bulls or Natal Sharks because they've got a load of investment.
You're talking about Hooson. You're basically comparing him to Hooson, who walked out of Racing and walked out of somewhere else. And then he ended up, I'm just going back to the farm. And then he took €4 million to play for Montpellier. Is that what you're talking about?
That is the cynic and the nasty person in me that thinks that he would do that. But speaking to Stevie Ferris, he doesn't think that is the case. And I don't think, basically what I'm saying, he's not in contract, he's done. So I'm surprised because for me, he looks like he's got at least 2 or 3 years at the tap end. And but look, he's made the decision. All I know is when Maro ripped his top off, I think it was last Six Nations, and he has got abs coming out the side of his abs and abs coming out of his lats. I was thinking, mate, I've had to turn the TV off so the missus ain't seen it to know what a real man looks like. So I'm gutted. And again, I keep going back to my conversation with Stevie. But Ireland are well equipped, aren't they, with the back rows? You've got Gavin Coombs, who's phenomenal for Munster. You've got Caelan Doris, if he gets back to full fitness and full health. So you've got a couple of players there at least that, Reece Ruddock when he played. But as a fan, I'll be sad to see CJ Stander. But what a credit to Irish rugby. Took a little bit of stick going in because he's a project player. Couldn't speak English/Irish. And look what he's done in the jersey. He wears his heart on his sleeve. And, it'd be nice to see him get a Lions swan song. I'll be honest. I'm happy to see that with how he's played for Ireland. But he's done. He's done.
It's a shock and a shame. But also, you've got to sit there and respect him. He's obviously made this decision and thought long and hard about it for him personally. So, whether that's something to do with an injury that, he just feels his body can't keep producing at the level. Some players want to retire when they know that they're on that downward curve physically. And I'm not saying he is. What I'm saying is maybe he wants to retire when he's ready to go. And people look at it, you're playing the Six Nations. Why would you do that? Well, you can only let that decision sit with him. And he's made that decision for the best reason for him and his family. Obviously, he said he's moving back to South Africa, which is always a big pull for him. And, some ridiculous comments I've seen on social media coming out saying it's a disgrace that he played for Ireland. Now he's moving back to South Africa. It's just ridiculous. Look at what he's done in the jersey. Look how much he gives, and he gives everything when he plays. But it just felt, from a fan's point of view, which we are a bit now, you'd want to see go through to the World Cup and then perhaps retire after that. But you can't. As fans, you can't choose when a player retires. He's made that decision. You respect him. And you hope, as Jim said, he gets a hell of a ending to the season in a Munster and an Ireland jersey, and potentially a Lions jersey as well.
Well, France's Grand Slam dreams may be over, but Wales did what they had to do in Italy to set up a Grand Slam game in Paris this weekend. Do you guys think they'll make it? Or
it's a tough one, isn't it? Because Wales have improved no end, but they're playing in France.
How good did France look?
Oh, mate, some of that rugby at the weekend was unbelievable. I can't see Wales doing it. I'd love them to, because I'm a quarter Welsh, which means I can say I'm fully Welsh when we win the Grand Slam. But and I'd love it for Stephen Jones as well, one of the coaches, because they were under a lot of heat in the autumn and prior to that. But can you see them beating France away? I can't do it, Jim.
I can't say again that Wales going to lose. I can't. It's not fair. It's not fair to our Welsh listeners and our fans. So whether or not I believe it or not, it doesn't matter. I think Wales, oh God, keep it under 40. I'm going to just say Wales going to win.
Well, this is the thing. You keep saying they're going to lose and they keep winning. So you should stick to that mantra, because they'll like you more.
France by 40 then. Let's be honest about the situation.
You are what, mate? What happens when we have another live show in Cardiff, where the world gets back to normal? There's thousands of people there, and you're just getting booed left, right, and centre because you've abused the Welsh for ages.
We'll bring Andy Powell in to tell that golf buggy story that no one's ever heard, and that'll settle them.
We're going to have a chat now with possibly the only man who predicted that Wales would win the Grand Slam this year. Former Wales and British and Irish Lions legend Scott Quinnell joins us. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. How are you?
Scott, we're very good. And I've got to say I'm sorry, because not only did I talk about Wales not being that good on the podcast, I actually said to your face before the Six Nations that it could be a wooden spoon for Wales. So I'm not only embarrassed because I'm sat virtually speaking to a Welsh legend, but look at the way that Wales are playing now, and they're on for a Grand Slam. It's embarrassing that I'm even now in the media that I said them words to you.
Do you know, it's the only reason that I've actually come back on. if we'd lost 4 now, there's no chance I'd be doing this. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. No, it's great. You know, the boys have been playing well. The experienced guys like Jim Bob had written off at the start of the tournament are playing some good rugby. So thanks for those words. It always works out like that. And you know, with people, you know what? It sort of gets on my wick a little bit, because people are saying, "Well, you've been lucky," and you know what? I was so unlucky so many bloody times. It's quite nice when you get a bit of luck go your way, and you know you didn't get in a position. You win 4 from 4, and you know, people say it would be tough going to Paris, and it will be tough going to Paris, because they are building themselves a little bit like England did all those years ago before 2003. You know, they're starting to get a little bit of steel in them, this trench side, and you know, the way they scored the tries at Twickenham on the weekend, you know, they've been delighted with that. Then it is going to be tough, but you know, it's 1-on-1, and who knows? There's no crowd there, and it's going to be a brilliant game on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. And the Welsh are a passionate bunch, right? Everyone knows that. But you actually said yourself that you believe that there could be a Grand Slam in this for Wales. What did make you say that? And what's the difference between where they're at now and the autumn, which wasn't that long ago, when things were a bit tougher for them?
It was tough. And I think it was tough for everybody at that time. They were coming in, the new coaching system. They were trying different things out. They'd lost, you know, Warby had gone, Gethin, Jenkins had come in. That needed time to settle. And then after the autumn internationals, there was a change to Gethin, Jenkins taking over defence coach. Stephen Jones, Wayne Pivac, you know, getting their feet under the table, getting a little bit of consistency in their coaching with Humphs, of course, doing the forwards, and Jinx has been a constant over the last 40 years for Wales. You know, whether he's playing or he's coaching. You know, and you just felt that with Ken Owens coming back, With Alwyn Jones, it's the first time that Alwyn Jones has had a break from any sort of rugby, I think, because he didn't play from the autumn internationals until the first game for Wales. And he needed that, you know what I mean? He sort of needed that break. Josh Navidi coming back in. Likewise, Ellis Jenkins, now he picked up man of the match against Benetton on the weekend for the Blues. He's only had 3 games back, and he's flying. George North, I think it was inspired to put him in at 13. My father actually told me, my father sat down, we were having a coffee probably, 10 years ago. And he said, this George North kid, he said, I think he'll end up at 13. It only took him 100 caps to do it. You know what I mean?
He was right.
The next 100 will be great. At 13, you know what I mean? It'll be so with those guys coming in, Liam Williams coming back to form as well. That experience has showed, and like you said, people call it luck. The 2 red cards in the first 2 games. I can't believe they were lucky. Well, they're not. If Peter O'Mahony doesn't hit somebody in the head, and if Ferguson doesn't hit somebody in the head, then that's not luck. You know what I mean? Then that's the law. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, okay, they were down to 14 men, and we took our opportunities. Let's put it that way. It wasn't luck. We took our opportunities when they were there.
Absolutely. And Wayne Pivac under a lot of pressure going into this Six Nations. I think there's a stat that I've got here, which I wasn't aware of until producer Tim lay it on my desk, that Wales have equalled the most tries they've ever scored in the Six Nations, with obviously this game to go in Paris. Like, Wayne Pivac obviously wanted to come in and put his own stamp on a team that was littered with world-class proven test players under Warren Gatland having won the amount of things that they won. But he was under loads of pressure. But now you're actually starting to see a little bit of how he wants to play, and it's coming to fruition.
Absolutely. And, you have a look at that. And I mentioned all the older heads coming back in and the experience coming back in. Louis Rees-Zammit, wow.
How quick.
Wow. Those 2 tries against Scotland. The second try, the chip when Hoggy was coming across, and he didn't break stride. It was a chip. He didn't break stride, and then he scored the try. But it was the first one. It was the ability to be able to stop on a sixpence, cut back inside, score that try. He looks like he's been playing for the last 5 years. He's just been absolutely outstanding. And Josh Adams, now he knows obviously the birth of the gender of the child. He's come back into the team, and as well, he's been outstanding the last 5 years, and he doesn't put a foot wrong really. He works so hard. And then you have 2 British Lions in George North and John Davis in the centres, and when you're as a coach, I think every sort of, as a coach, if you're lucky enough to have your best players available and coming into form, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to change your opinion on people's opinion of you and your coaching. I've seen the way that they're trying to move the ball around a bit more. They're not always going to the right hand side. They're not always putting the ball in the air. They are picking up. They're playing with the heads up. Dan Bigger's playing with his head up. Callum Sheedy's coming on and playing with his head up. And when you've got 2 guys like that are going for the 10 position, it's just wonderful as a coach. So put all that into place, and that recipe makes for a good dessert, if you know what I mean. The fact that everything has sort of come together. And now, with the youngsters that are coming through as well, the future looks a lot brighter.
Mate, it certainly does, and we like our desserts, don't we, Scotty? Let's just talk about Louis Rees-Zammit. You're welcome to the whole of Wales, because I was commentating on a game for BT Sport a couple of years ago, and I said, it's got to be English. Let's get him in the England team. And I put it on Twitter. He just came back with me with a Welsh flag, so he put me in my place. But you are welcome. We know Wales is.
He's wonderful. You know what I mean? You could try and poach everybody, Goody. You know what I mean? You can say that when you're working around the world, you can't expect everybody to be English. You know what I mean?
Anyone that's good, we want them. Let's talk about Wales as a bubble then, because we know how intense it is around the rugby in Wales. It's like a goldfish bowl, isn't it? A lot of people are going to compare this team potentially with the previous teams that won the Grand Slam. How do you think it compares? And is the Welsh public putting a load of pressure on them because of that factor of the goldfish bowl in Wales around rugby?
it's never like for like. You know what I mean? You have a look at 08, you have a look at 12, you have a look at 13, you have a look at 19. You know, they're all different, and they've all got their own traits in the way that they won Grand Slams. I think this is the most important for this group. I saw a lovely stat. I know you love a stat. It was on the weekend, and if Alun Jones wins on Saturday, in the Six Nations period, he's got as many Grand Slams as England and Ireland put together.
Wow. I feel embarrassed to call myself a rugby player. Like when we now speak about him, I mean, what?
I think he'll have more. I think he'll have more Grand Slams than you've had Six Nations victories, Jim, as well.
He might have more tries.
Hang on. Look, I was going through Twitter earlier, right? And Jim actually put on when Leicester Tigers beat India and he scored 3 tries. He was so happy. He was so happy when he had that. It was all over his social media.
Did you see the game, Scott? Did you see the game though? Did you see this Leicester India game or not?
No, probably I missed that one. I do apologise, but I know you're going to send your 3 tries over on Zoom. You'll get them out there somewhere.
Let's look forward to the game this weekend. And obviously, the big thing is going to be around Sean Edwards, and he is going to be potentially the guy that has the biggest impact on this French team to stop Wales winning the Grand Slam. He's done a wonderful job there in the short space of time. Is he still massively missed in Wales? Because he did such a wonderful job, didn't he? And personally, how do you feel about him coaching the French now?
I'm delighted. I was lucky enough. Right? I played for a couple of years up at Wigan, and Sean was my scrum half up at Wigan. He's a great man. He's incredibly intense when he's in and around rugby. You know what I mean? I remember standing there, and I think I was only 10 yards away from him, and he threw the pass. You've never seen anything like it. You must have thought it was 50 yards away from him. And I dropped it. I said, Sean, come on, mate. You know what I mean? And he looked at me, and he went, my job to pass it. It's your job to catch it. And I went, yeah, you're right. And you can't argue with that, can you? You can't argue with that. And and he brings that intensity, not only to when he played, but to his coaching as well. And when he's in sessions, he doesn't have get out there. He doesn't have leave a little bit of Sean Edwards on every rugby pitch that he coaches or he's played on. And what he did for Wales was incredible. What he did, and everybody loves him. He's a Welshman. To everybody in Wales, Sean Edwards is a Welshman. And. But now, we've had to move on, and he's made his decision. He's gone to France, and for our point of view, we'd like to, put one over him on Saturday. And, with Gethin Jenkins coming in, and he learned a huge amount from Sean Edwards. When you talk about it, and he's got that intensity, and he backs it up with the fact that Gethin Jenkins performed like that. He performed at the highest level. You know what I mean? As a prop, he was an extra back rower, and he was over the top of the ball, and he was over his defensive game as good. So he's walked the walk, he can talk the talk, as they say, and that ability to be able to now get through to the younger players and the players that he played with, that have so much respect for him. So as they say, the king is gone, long live the king, but we've got a new one now.
Yeah.
And Scott, when you look at this Welsh team, I think we've touched on it before, but I think it's there for all to see. And probably more glaringly obvious now because there's no fans. I've spoken about it before, playing at Millennium, now the Principality Stadium in Wales, in Cardiff. One of the best places to play rugby in the world, if not the best place. Loads of people will say that. What does it mean for Wales as a country when Wales win matches or when Wales win Grand Slams? Because it seems every time that I've been there, and I've done a couple of documentaries for Rugby Pass, we've obviously spoken as well over here. What does it mean to Wales rugby as a whole and winning?
It's just a passion. It's just a passion. You know what I mean? I think more than I suppose any other country at the moment, that may be a struggle that people aren't allowed into the ground. I think the Principality, is one that needs a crowd. You know what I mean? When you put that roof on, it just holds the atmosphere. It ramps up the atmosphere. I think everybody used to go down to Cardiff. You know, it was if you came down from the valleys, or you came down from West Wales, or you came down from up north, you know, it was a destination. You know, if you had a ticket, brilliant. If you didn't have a ticket, brilliant. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? You know, and it was that sort of atmosphere. And it's good. It goes back to the point that you made earlier. You know what I mean? The pressure that the players are under now. You know, it's without that drive down into the stadium, and without the crowd there, then and you can be as successful as you went on the field, but you want to share it with 3 other million people. You know, we're lucky enough almost to be able, because we're a country of 3 million people, you could almost by Wednesday have high-fived everybody. You know what I mean? It is who we are. It's our identity. It's
a small gene pool there, isn't there?
Well, yeah, we only need a couple to be successful. You know, it's brilliant. And when you look at it like that, you know, it's going to be massive. It's going to be like Liverpool last year. This one will almost be like Liverpool last year. You know, winning the league, and then not being able to celebrate with the crowd, because Warren Gatland had done it. You know, and the success then was almost every couple of years you expected a Grand Slam. After last year, it was tough with Wayne Pivac. It was tough for him to come in after you know the success of the coaching team before, and for Wayne and all the coaching team this time, if they do it, you know, wait till we're allowed in the Principality Stadium. I think it'll be party time again.
I hope they make it, because Stephen Jones, he's a hell of a bloke as well, someone that you play with and know, and sits behind Wayne Pivac in that coaching team. Such a wonderful guy. Let's talk about the other...
You know what? In 99, was it 90? I think it was 99. You know, it was either 99 or 2001. We beat France in Paris, and myself and Steve Black were walking back after the dinner. We'd had a couple of glasses of wine, and you know, it starts late, it goes on, so we decided to walk back. You know, he was sort of pushing on a bit, so we thought, let's go back to the hotel. And he was our fitness coach, and we walk him back, and as we get back to the hotel, all of a sudden I get ambushed from behind the Citroen C5. Right, there's somebody coming in, I go, whack, I'm on the floor, and there's this guy on top of me banging me. I thought, who's this now? Before I could pick him up and throw him off, it was SQ. It was Stephen Jones. He was there with the under-21s, and they'd won as well. And he came down, and he was just absolutely brilliant. He's one of the nicest men in sport. You know, he's been brilliant for every day. I hope he has the success he has in coaching as he has, obviously, as a player.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the other big news that's in the media at the minute around the British and Irish Lions. You know, you had a wonderful tour with them to Australia, and obviously the Lions tour this summer. You've been a massive part of all the coverage with Sky over the last few years. How disappointed are you that it's not going to be in South Africa if that's the way it is going? We don't know what's going to happen yet. And how excited are you on the other sort of flip side of the coin that it is going to go ahead in the UK and Ireland, and we'll see hopefully packed stadia and everything like that?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. The thing about being a Lion, and getting that letter in '97, you know, we would like to ask you to tour with the British and Irish Lions to South Africa, and it was everything. It's the reason I came back from Wigan. It's the reason that I went to Richmond, was to be able to get an opportunity to tour with the Lions in 1997. And then, you know, to go in 2001 and play 3 tests in 2001 was just incredible, just absolutely brilliant. Yeah. You know? And it's not that. It's been around your peers. It's been around the guys that you respect so much. You beat the shit out of each other, you know, for 4 years just to be able to get on one of these tours, and to spend the time with these guys and learn off these guys and just have a coffee with these guys, have a beer with these guys is very, very special. And that's what part of touring is all about. That's what, you know, spending 2 months together. I'm gutted for South Africa, because if there's one rugby nation in the world at the moment, probably, that needs the money from British and Irish Lions fans, it's South Africa. Yeah. You know, for the infrastructure of South Africa, for the hotels of South Africa, for the bars of South Africa, the restaurants of South Africa, for the tours, you know, that's what touring is about. You know what I mean? I'll never forget one of the greatest moments of my Lions career, playing wise, was standing in Brisbane the day before the first test in 2001, and all of a sudden it's like somebody had opened up the gates and there was 35,000 Great Britain and Irish fans in Brisbane, because all the tours culminated on that Friday in Brisbane. And it was just the most incredible feeling in the world, knowing that these people from 4 brilliant countries had come together to watch one rugby team. That meant so much to you as a player. And, not to get that maybe this year. On the other edge of it, do we need this tour? Yes, because it's been a tough 18 months. It's been a tough year in lockdown. Do people need something to look forward to? Do they want to watch British and Irish Lions v South Africa in Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales? Yes, is the answer. If it definitely cannot go ahead in South Africa, then we need that injection of Lions just to settle us all down again just before Rugby World Cup. And I in one way or another, I hope it goes ahead. But for me, it has to be with fans, and then that is what Lions is all about.
You think if the tour is in the UK, without that touring side of it, the Lions will be weaker because they don't have that bonding time that you're talking about, and they're not learning off each other and not spending all that time together? Do you think it'll be worse for the actual team's performance?
I don't think it'll be worse for the team's performance, because we're used to go to Twickenham, we used to go to the Principality, we used to go to Merrifield, we used to go to the Viva. The players will be together for the 6-week period that they are together. All talk is they may go to Jersey, to be based there. And then fly in and out of different stadia. The one thing they will miss is the experience of diving with sharks, sort of surfing and going to Stellenbosch and being at the High Veld in Joburg, and going to the butcher shop in Pretoria, and the little things that you think back on the tour. Oh my God, that was an amazing night, But I think it would actually make us a little bit stronger, the fact that we're playing at home. But that's not quite like what all Lions is all about. It is about, travelling with 35,000 British and Irish Lions fans. But needs must. And, in 4 years' time, we see everybody in Australia.
All right, Scott. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, and enjoy watching Wales go for that Grand Slam this weekend.
Pleasure, gentlemen.
Legend.
What a ledge. What a legend that bloke is. For
the listeners, I felt like Scott Quinnell saluted me, so I saluted him back. he might have been scratching his head, and I've just given him like a military salute. Like I've said before, I'd run through a wall for that man. I would run through a wall for that man. The passion, everything he embodies. Mate, he's a legend. I love him.
Yeah. Well, I've done a few events and dinners and lunches and pre-match stuff with him over time. I could listen to him all day, and he's got story after story after story. So he's a lovely bloke. He always does things with a big smile on his face. So happy he came on. I'm so happy to see you crumble, Jim, and go, oh, Scott, I just agree with everything you say now, because a couple of weeks ago you were bagging Alan Jones. Now you're just trying to make friends in Wales and agreeing with the legend that is Scott Quinnell.
With Scott Quinnell, if anyone who hasn't seen the School of Hard Knocks clip where he galvanizes offenders, people who've been in jail, lads who've been in jail, and they get to go through this program. Sky Sports did a show with Scott Quinnell, Will Greenwood, and he gives this speech. YouTube Scott Quinnell, School of Hard Knocks speech, and he's chatting to the players as they're about to go out and play. Now, most of them never played rugby before, and he says this line, "Have you seen the dragon? Have you seen the fucking dragon?" Every time I watch it, I get fucking goosebumps. I love shit like that. And Scott, I've seen the fucking dragon, mate. That's all I know. I've seen the dragon, and not the one in Hong Kong. I've seen the dragon, mate.
Let's look ahead to round 5 then, and get your predictions in for the Guinness Pint Predictor or Match Pint to wrap up the Six Nations chat. Jim, You called the England-France game perfectly, didn't you?
Oh, well, you know, I am an expert and all that. I can't even joke. I'm embarrassed by where I am. Don't even tell me where I'm sat. I'm sure Andrew might want to tell me where I'm sat.
It is embarrassing, Jim. But you did get that game exactly right, didn't you? England by 3, eh?
Oh, is that what I went for, was it? I didn't even know.
You did. I went England by 4. But yeah, you got the perfect prediction, James.
Or if you want to get involved, it's the same format as usual. Just download the Matchpoint app from all good app stores, predict the scores, beat your mates, and then win great rugby prizes. And make sure you join the UK's biggest private league with the league code RugbyPod as well. All right, Scotland, Italy, what's happening?
I'm going to have to make some ridiculous calls. This week. So I'm going to go Italy by 26.
That could be for real as well.
I'll go for real. I'm going to go Ireland by 21, and I'm going to say Wales are going to absolutely dominate France by 42 points.
Crazy. Let's have it for real then, Jim. Scotland, Italy. Scotland by 30. I'm going Scotland by 30.
I'll go a bit more humble, I think. I'll go Scotland by 28.
Ireland, England?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? It really is to call. Ireland haven't played... Oh, again, I've been horrible again. Ireland haven't played as well as we like to think. Good win against Scotland. England phenomenal against France. No fans at the Aviva. St. Paddy's Day. I'm going to go Ireland by 6.
Really?
I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling it though.
Bearing in mind, we've absolutely hosed Ireland the last however many times we played them. And it started off, and I think Ireland are mentally scarred against playing England, because you go back to the game a couple of years ago in the Six Nations at, what's it called? Aviva. At the Aviva Stadium, when England absolutely dominated them, didn't they? Do you remember that game?
Oh, I don't remember it now.
Yeah, you do. James Ryan is out injured. That's a massive loss. I'd love to see him go heads up against Itoje. Ringrose is out as well.
Yeah. CJ Stander is his last game for Ireland.
Yeah, potentially.
Bit of emotion around that.
Yeah, I'm going England by 10. Arrogant.
So arrogant. This is ridiculous. Just overconfident.
France, Wales. Grand Slam for Wales.
Again, we've had Scotty on. He could sell me a pencil, mate. I'd run through a wall for that man.
Just
Have
for
you
a
seen
pencil.
the fucking dragon? Oh gosh, I can't see France losing, but I've got to go. I've got to say Wales.
No, don't, mate. Don't say Wales, because if you say Wales, France will win. You know, opposites attract with you.
I'll give my honest answer then. France by 20.
I think it'll be a hell of a ding-dong, actually, because Wales will want to put width on it as well as France. I just think France will have too much. They'll be hurting from last week. They know they've still got the ability to win the Six Nations. You think back to the end of last Six Nations when France had to beat Ireland, and Ireland were going for it, weren't they, to still win the championship? France had too much for them. I'm going France by 7.
All right. Well, shall we have a look at the Premiership now?
Yeah, not really. Let's just move on.
Goody. What's going on, mate? Another defeat to Wasps. Bristol look all right, though, don't they?
Yeah, mate. They played Bristol's away, so they got dominated. Physically again. It's same things really. They need a few boys back. I know Bristol were missing a few, but Bristol are, they're top of the league comfortably now, aren't they? They've got a great squad. Thoroughly deserved the win. Wasps were plucky at times, but second best on the day. So yeah, Bristol. Let's just do it now. Bristol Exeter final. Let's just get on with it, shall we?
Yeah, let's speed through because I didn't see any of the Prem games because I was travelling. I don't know if I mentioned. So Andrew,
how are you travelling?
I was travelling, and I can't name the car, but it was a B&M and a W, so it was a really nice car.
with an X and a 5.
Yeah, mate, that just didn't sound humble enough for the X and a 5. Let's put an X and a 3 that sounds more humble. So, Andrew, you're going to have to enlighten me. Give me a snapshot of the Prem. So, we've just spoken about Wasps, who I thought would lose. Yeah. But give me a snapshot. Leicester beat Gloucester. I saw that. That's a big win.
Leicester are back to their traits of old. We spoke about it a few weeks ago. They get the mauls down your neck.
I saw that.
Yeah, physically they're back to what a Leicester DNA of old team would look like. So they're going well, Leicester. I know they played Gloucester, who I think they've only won one game in God knows how long, and that was against Wasps as well. So I don't want to talk about that. But Leicester have turned a corner. Can they get in the top 4? I mean, Exeter and Bristol.
Rhetorical question.
No, not really, because Bristol and Exeter are going to finish top 2, and then there's a load of teams pushing. Quins are looking good, but they lost Exeter, even though.
They got hammered.
They didn't actually. They should have won.
They were winning, weren't they?
They were. They should
comfortably.
have won. They chucked it away a bit, but that's the sign of a champion team. Exeter at home graft into a victory over Quins. But Leicester are good, mate. Bath went up to Newcastle and pulled their pants down at Kingston Park. They've turned a corner, and they've turned a corner, Bath, ever since Stuart Hooper did that inspirational speech of handing out handing out the jerseys to the debutantes at the Rec a few weeks ago.
I did not know the debutantes were all called I just didn't know that. I mean, maybe that's code. That's code.
But yeah, they're flying now, Bath, at the minute. But listen, we're in this season, and I said it before, there's a massive block of games now. And there might be 12 Premiership games on the spin or something. I don't know the exact number, but you're going to see teams with momentum shifts. Sale flew out the blocks after Alex Anderson took over, didn't they? And then they've come and fallen off a bit. We're 13, we're 13 games in the Premiership, so there's still 9 to go, which is a hell of a chunk. And you put a run together. There's obviously a break for Europe as well, and so different teams will have a different focus on that. Time in your run is what is needed, and Wasps timed to run all the way to the final last year and got there. I'm struggling to see that happen this year, but who knows, mate? Who knows?
Okay, well, let's finish things off with the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is brought to you by the absolute saviours at Suns, who are doing a sterling job to help all men out there with one of the key issues that they don't often talk about: how to keep their hair. They're a men's health brand that offers a range of licensed and medically proven products for preventing and treating hair loss, and they deliver via a monthly or 3-monthly subscription direct to your door. It's reasonably priced, and they get results in 9 out of 10 men. So visit suns.co.uk and use the code RugbyPod20 to get 20 quid off your first order. That's SONS.co.uk, and the code is RugbyPod20.
Yeah, plenty of good this week. And we'll start off with Jim's favourite team.
Glasgow beating Connacht.
No, Harlequins. No. Harlequins, James. And we're going to give a tip of the slipper to a player that we've talked up a lot on this podcast. Marcus Smith made his 100th appearance for Quins, and he's still only about 12 years old. When I heard that, I was like, I need to mention that, because 100 games by the time you're about, actually call it 15. He's got a big career ahead of him, and you're welcome, Marcus, because we got your value up by saying that you're going to go to Sale as well. So
and he probably arguably should be at Sale.
Sticking in the Premiership, Blair Cowan. What a legend that bloke is. Full stop, off the field, on the field, at training, around any team environment. But Blair Cowan on Sunday, on BT Sport, I'm watching it, I tweeted about it, loads of people tweeted about it. He broke the record for 35 tackles, the most tackles in a game, breaking Jacques Berger's Premiership record of 34. He made 35. And everyone was talking about him. He's about 40 years of age now, Blair Cowan, but he is still gooing till you can go no more. And he walked off, I think, with cramp with about a minute to go. But what an effort. 35 tackles. Imagine that. And then the next day, they downgrade him, take one off him, and he's back to 34, so he only equaled the record. I ain't having that. He's broken the record. Blair Cowan broke the Premiership record for most tackles in a game. Whoever downgraded him, it must be someone from Saracens with Jack Berger's house involved or so. I don't know. But I'm giving it to Blair Cowan, 35 tackles in the game. What an effort that was. And what a bloke he is as well.
He's a legend. I call him Mayu, so he calls me his Tocco. I don't know what that means, but that's what we call each other. Brother love.
Yeah, he's a great guy. What else was good? George North, equaling Shane Williams' record of 22 tries for Wales in the Six Nations. If he was playing Scotland next week, he'd get another hat-trick. So let's see if he breaks it this weekend. I hope he does against France. And we'll stick with Wales because they got their biggest ever victory in Rome to set themselves up nicely. Played 4, won 4. They got the bonus point very early on. They're going to Paris for the Grand Slam, but also for the title. So there will be 2 different things to look at. Of course, they're going to go all out to try and win it, but they could win the title even with losing the game if they get enough points. If they get 2 points, they might get 2 bonus points. Who knows? What else was good? We didn't mention it earlier. Tag Furlong. Oh, my belly swerve.
Here comes the hot stepper. Murderer!
Here comes the hot stepper. Murderer! Yeah, I mean, what about that footwork? It was just phenomenal, wasn't it? He's done Finn Russell inside out.
He's done George Turner as well, but I mean, arguably, you say he could slip. Either way, George Turner and Finn Russell, you're on a highlights reel probably until you die.
Yeah, it was phenomenal to see. Hell of a performance by him as well. He was big, literally, and he carried massively, and he's got lovely dancing feet.
And he's a friend of the show, apparently. So big shout out, mate. You're a legend, and you're number 3 for the Lions, mate, because you've already been picked out by Warren to be the ambassador for Ireland. So you're in.
You're definitely in. That was great to see. But the good this week has to go.
Glasgow.
No mention of Glasgow, Jim. No mention of Glasgow. I thought your hashtag
Edinburgh. Yeah, Edinburgh then. Edinburgh beating Connacht.
Oh, Edinburgh beat Connacht, did they? I thought you said Glasgow beat Connacht.
Well, it's Scotland team. Scotland team beat them.
Yeah, no, we're not going to go with that. We're going to just dedicate it to that first half of rugby at Twickenham. So both England and France, the first 40 minutes was a phenomenal test match. Gladiatorial. It was ridiculously good. The intensity, best half of rugby you've ever probably seen in 10 years since Jim Hamilton played against India. And scored a hat-trick, which he hasn't mentioned too much. Why did that come out on social media this weekend? I mean, what a loser.
Someone sent me the article, I just had to post it. And you know what? It's weird because it's not weird because I used to be called James. I've been called Jimmy when I was younger, then James, Regal, now it's Jim, Big Jim, the legend. And then now with Spotify.
Scott Quinnell called you Jim Bob.
Yeah, he called me Jim Bob. Whatever he says, I am. But really, with Spotify, he can call me James again.
Yeah. So the good this week goes to both England and France and that first half at Twickenham. The best 40 minutes of rugby, especially for England since the World Cup semi-final against New Zealand. So a hell of a performance from both teams. The bad, let's go to France. Of course, we've got to get something French in there. Agen lost 48-20 to another team down near the bottom of the top 14. Played Bayonne. Bayonne looking to push up the league. Pau are now 13th in the league, so they're in the playoff spot for relegation. But Agen, I don't think I've won a game all year. They're just horrific.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
So they're getting the bad. What else was bad? Newcastle, one of my old clubs. Got to get them in there. Lost 38-19 at home to Bath. Not a great performance. Gloucester, they're back in the bad. They lost 5 of their last 6 home games with a pretty demoralising loss to Leicester Tigers at the weekend. They're probably glad the shed isn't there at the minute, but they'll need them back at some point. Italy, they're going to get another mention. I know they're playing the kids and they're trying to gain experience, but every game has been the same for them. They're shipping points left, right and centre. And they're any team that's nearly shipping 50 points a week, like Jim's old Scotland team did, they're going to have to get a mention in the bad. But they don't win the bad, James.
Wasp, you're going for it. You're going for Wasp, aren't you?
No. I mentioned Wasp in the bad last week. I can't do it too. They don't deserve to be in the bad for losing to Bristol away, so I'm not going to put them in there. But the bad, Jim, goes to your countryman, your country, Schooland. And you were disappointed earlier, weren't you? You were a bit devastated. You weren't making excuses, but you were. You blamed it on the line-out. And I'm going to go with mainly blaming their line-out. They only won 2 of their 8 line-outs in Test match rugby. And they need Jim Hamilton as coach. This is a double-edged sword. I'm going to put them in the bad so they hear it, they react to it, and then Jim, you get another job. You're welcome.
Why need to run that by Spotify first? They're my employers. Exactly. So I can't just do that. It can't just be shipping me away from international to Hollywood. Like, it just doesn't work like that, Andrew. But I'm happy to chat to them and just give them my assessment. But I've given it on here. Yeah,
definitely. So the bad this week, unfortunately, has to go to Scotland. And then the ugly. Wasn't masses of ugly around this weekend. Do you see much ugly, Jim? I've got one thing, but
I didn't know. I've been very positive.
Yeah, not much ugly, but there was one thing that I found. Ellis Genge. I mean, that lid when he's come on, who does he think he is with the lid?
Will everyone please stand up?
Exactly. Only ugly thing I could really find, Ellis Genge's lid. Ellis Genge, Slim Shady, call it what you will. He needs a bit of attention, so there we go. We'll give it to him. We'll stick him in the ugly.
Thanks, Goodey. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, producer Tim. And thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify because I don't know if you heard, we've been signed by Spotify now.
We've made it!
We've made it!
And also check us out on YouTube as well.
Rugby Pod.
We have made it. Rugby Pod. Spotify. Pod.